Wait, what if the finale you just watched was never meant to be seen this way because something hidden changed everything and nobody is talking about it? Stay with me till the end because what I am about to reveal will completely flip your perspective. And if you love shocking breakdowns like this, hit subscribe right now because you do not want to miss what is coming next. What if everything you thought you were watching was never the full story? What if the moment that looked small and almost forgettable was actually the biggest turning point of the entire season? Because that is exactly how this episode begins, with a quiet scene that carries a weight you do not fully understand until much later. There is no grand setup, no emotional buildup, just a simple, unexpected reveal that feels almost too casual for something so significant. Janelle walks out holding her spiritual release papers, and in that instant, something shifts, not just for her, but for the entire narrative, because this is not just about a relationship ending, it is about the way it ends, so quickly, so quietly, and without the kind of closure you would expect from something that lasted so long. And as she mentions how fast the process was, how it barely took any time at all, you start to feel that disconnect between what should feel heavy and what is being presented as light. And that contrast pulls you in because it raises a question that stays with you throughout the entire episode. Is this real, or is this just another carefully controlled moment designed to move the story forward without fully addressing the emotions behind it? And before you can even settle into that thought, the scene shifts abruptly, taking you away from that moment of quiet finality and placing you into something that feels completely different, almost like stepping into another world entirely. Cody and Robin appear, riding four-wheelers, talking casually as if nothing monumental has just happened, and the tone feels off. Because instead of reflecting the emotional impact of what we just saw, the focus turns to something that feels almost staged. And as Cody begins to describe past experiences and explain what is happening, you start noticing the inconsistencies. The way the story is told does not quite match the actions you're seeing, and that is where the tension begins to build. Not because of what is happening, but because of what does not feel believable. And as the scene continues, the details become harder to ignore. The way they handle the situation, the way they react to simple moments, it all feels slightly disconnected from reality. And that subtle disconnect is what keeps you watching, because you're trying to figure out why it feels that way, why something so straightforward seems so complicated when presented on screen. And as the episode moves forward, it layers these moments, one after another, creating a pattern that becomes impossible to ignore. Conversations that seem friendly but carry an underlying tension. Interactions that are meant to feel natural but come across as rehearsed. And it's in those moments that you start to question everything, not just what you are seeing, but how it is being presented and why certain things are emphasized while others are left in the background. And that curiosity is what drives the suspense, because you are no longer just watching a story unfold, you are actively trying to understand the structure behind it, the choices that shape it, the reasons certain scenes are included while others are noticeably absent. And that awareness changes the way you experience the episode, because every new moment feels like a clue, every interaction feels like it might reveal something deeper if you pay close enough attention. And just when you think you have a sense of where things are going, the episode introduces another layer, bringing in interactions between people whose history is far more complicated than what is being shown. And as they sit together talking, as if everything is normal, you can feel the distance between them, the unspoken history that lingers beneath the surface. And that contrast between what is said and what is felt creates a kind of tension that is impossible to ignore, because it suggests that there is more to the story than what is being presented. And that realization keeps you engaged, because you want to see if that hidden layer will eventually come to the surface, or if it will remain just out of reach. And as the episode continues to unfold, it becomes clear that this is not just about individual moments, but about the way those moments are connected, the way they build on each other to create a narrative that feels both complete and incomplete at the same time. And that duality is what makes it so compelling, because it leaves you in a constant state of anticipation, waiting for something to happen that will bring clarity to everything you have seen so far. And yet, that clarity never fully arrives. Instead, the episode leans into the ambiguity, presenting scenes that raise more questions than they answer. And that choice is what keeps you watching, because it creates a sense of mystery that is not easily resolved. And as the story moves forward, you begin to notice how certain themes repeat themselves, how the idea of perception versus reality becomes more and more prominent with each new scene, and that repetition reinforces the central tension of the episode, the idea that what you are seeing may not be the full picture. And that realization changes everything, because it means that every moment, every conversation, every interaction could have another layer beneath it, one that is not immediately visible, but still shapes the way the story unfolds. And as you continue watching, you find yourself paying closer attention to the details, the small gestures, the subtle shifts in tone, the moments that might otherwise go unnoticed, because you understand that those details might hold the key to understanding what is really happening. And that level of engagement is what keeps you hooked, because it transforms the episode from something you passively watch into something you actively experience. And as the first part of the story builds toward its midpoint, the tension continues to grow, not through dramatic confrontations or obvious conflicts, but through the accumulation of these subtle inconsistencies, these small moments that do not quite align with the narrative being presented. And that slow build creates a sense of unease that lingers in the background, making even the most ordinary scenes feel significant, because you know there is something more beneath the surface, something that has not yet been revealed. And as the episode approaches what feels like a turning point, you realize that the real story may not be in the events themselves, but in the way those events are being framed. And that realization shifts your perspective completely, because it means that understanding the story requires more than just watching it. It requires questioning it, analyzing it, and looking beyond what is immediately visible. And that is what makes this episode so compelling, because it does not just tell a story, it invites you to uncover it piece by piece, moment by moment, until you begin to see the patterns that connect everything together. And even then, the full picture remains just out of reach, leaving you with a sense of anticipation that carries you forward into what comes next. And just when it feels like you are beginning to understand the rhythm of the episode, it shifts again in a way that makes everything you thought you knew feel uncertain. Because now the focus moves into interactions that are presented as calm and friendly, yet carry an unmistakable undercurrent of distance and history that cannot be ignored. And as these conversations unfold, there's a growing sense that what is being shown on the surface does not fully match what exists beneath it. The smiles feel slightly forced, the words feel carefully chosen, and the energy between the people involved tells a different story than the one being spoken out loud. And that contrast creates a tension that builds quietly but steadily, because you start to realize that the real story may not be in what is being said, but in what is being avoided. And that realization pulls you deeper into the narrative, because it transforms every scene into something more than just a moment. It becomes a piece of a larger puzzle that you are trying to solve. And as the episode continues to layer these moments together, it becomes clear that there is a deliberate structure behind everything. The way certain individuals are brought together, the way certain topics are introduced and then quickly moved past, the way emotions are hinted at but never fully explored. All of it contributes to a feeling that the story is being guided in a specific direction, while carefully steering away from anything that might disrupt that path. And that awareness adds another level of suspense, because now you are not just watching for what happens next, you are watching for what might slip through the cracks, what might reveal itself despite the structure that is trying to contain it. And then there are moments that stand out, not because they are dramatic or intense, but because they feel slightly out of place, like they do not fully belong within the narrative that has been established. And those moments become significant because they hint at something more, something that exists outside the carefully constructed storyline. And as you notice these details, you begin to see a pattern emerging, one that suggests that the episode is not just telling a story, but managing one, shaping it in a way that maintains a certain image while leaving other aspects unexplored. And that realization keeps you engaged because it creates a sense of curiosity that goes beyond the immediate events. You are no longer just interested in what is happening, you are interested in why it is happening the way it is, and what that says about the larger picture. And as this perspective takes hold, the episode becomes something entirely different. It becomes a layered experience where every scene can be interpreted in multiple ways, where every interaction carries both a surface meaning and a deeper implication. And that complexity is what makes it so compelling, because it challenges you to look beyond the obvious, to question the narrative, and to consider the possibility. And now, the real question is, was any of this ever the full truth, or just the version we were meant to see? If you want more deep breakdowns and hidden details like this, hit subscribe right now and stay with us, because the next reveal is going to change everything.